Dhyana obviously is translated in English as meditation, but here dhyana is translated as tranquility. Okay, so there is no difference between meditation and tranquility. When our minds are tranquil, peaceful, that means we are into the meditation. And mind cannot be at peace or in tranquility so long there are waves of thoughts, so long there are waves of emotions. So tranquility means stillness. Tranquility means complete absorption of our extrovert senses. When we become introvert, then we are at peace, at ease.
Yes.
Okay, though so the absorption of all of the senses is called withdrawal of senses. When we withdraw our senses from external affairs, from external activities, and we, you know, divert all those senses into the inner world, that is called dhyana. And ideal dhyana, what is ideal dhyana? This is very important to understand. And the things which are described into this section could be new to you because this is the new definition of meditation, dhyana. This dhyana, this ideal meditation, which can be helpful to reach to the samadhi or to the wisdom or enlightenment. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
Buddha has kept the things very systematically. When we practice charity, then we prepare ourselves for the sila or the morality or the ideal behaviors. And when we practice charity, then we develop the kshanti, endurance, or the patience. And with patience comes energy because when we practice patience, then that means we are developing the strength, we are developing the energy in us. And when we have robust energy, then we prepare ourselves for the meditation, for the dhyana. Now, let us understand what is dhyana. So, Subhuti inquired to the Buddha, saying, honored of the worlds in future ages when this scripture is proclaimed amongst those beings destined to hear it, shall any conceive within their minds a sincere, unmingled faith? Lord Buddha replied, have no such apprehensive thought. Try to understand. This is a very profound subject. Try to understand what is told by Buddha, what is replied by Buddha. And if you have any confusion, then you can ask me, I'll explain. But try to experience this more. He replies, when he asked that in future, when this will be uh, explained, this will be told to the upcoming students, shall any conceive within their mind a sincere, unmingled faith? Buddha says, have no such apprehensive thought. Even at the remote period of the 5th century subsequent to Nirvana of the Tathagata, there will be many disciples observing the monastic vows and assiduously devoted to good works. These hearing this scripture proclaimed will believe in its immutability and will conceive within their minds a pure, unmingled faith. Besides, it is important to realize that faith, thus conceived, is not exclusively in virtue of the individual thought of any particular Buddha, but because of its affiliation with the universal thought of all the myriad Buddhas throughout the infinite ages. Therefore, among the beings destined to hear this scripture proclaimed, many, by the Dhyana Paramita, will intuitively conceive a pure and holy faith. What is faith? Faith is your confidence, your trust into a technology, into a technique that yes, this works, and this can work, and this can lead me to the goal. So this is faith, and faith comes when you try, when you experiment that, and you see the result, then you develop more faith into that. Like when you contacted me, you had so many confusions. You did not have faith. You did not have trust in me. But when you started, when you had courage, when you dared to join us and you started the course, then slowly, as the days were passing, you were enjoying, and you understood, yes, I'm at the right place, and I'm learning so much, and I hope to learn so much more, right? And you feel a kind of
Yes, sir.
satisfaction, and you develop the confidence in me, with faith in our teachings, in our teaching methodology. Okay, so faith comes with the realization of its efficacy. Now, Buddha further says that Subhuti, the Tathagata, by his prescience, is perfectly cognizant of all such potential disciples. And for those also there is reserved an immeasurable merit. Say, immeasurable merit. He often uses immeasurable word, right? Amit.
Yes, sir.
It's called Amit in Sanskrit. And why? Because the minds of these will not revert to such arbitrary concepts of phenomena as an entity, a being, a living being, a personality. See, these are hindrances into meditation, and this will inhibit ourselves, this will block our path to reach into the ultimate state of mind called transcendental state, or called the super state, or called samadhi, prajna, whatever. So he says the concept, arbitrary concepts of phenomena, entity, being, living being, and personality, having qualities or ideas coincident with the dharma or existing apart from the principle of dharma. And why? Because assuming the permanency and reality of phenomena, the minds of these disciples should be involved in such distinctive ideas as an entity, a being, a living being, a personality. Affirming the permanency and reality of qualities or ideas coincident with the dharma, their minds should inevitably be involved in resolving these same definitions, postulating the inviolate nature of qualities or ideas which have an existence apart from the dharma. There yet remains to be explained these abstruse distinctions: an entity, a being, a living being, a personality. Therefore, enlightened disciples ought not to affirm the permanency or reality of qualities, okay, or ideas coincident with the dharma, nor postulate as being of an inviolate nature qualities and ideas having an existence apart from the concept of the dharma. So here Buddha says the ideas of entity, a being, a living being, and personality. These ideas, these philosophies, these beliefs, these concepts are obstructions. So by understanding their realities, we can overcome them. Otherwise, we can be affected with these principles, these theories, because we have been taught in the way that we have being, there is an entity in us. We are beings, and there is living being into this. There is a personality, you know. But when we will speculate, when we will analyze that, we'll find that there is nothing permanent into this. So it says the idea of permanency is an obstruction. Okay, I have shared this book, and you should go through this, because it's not a good idea to read this here. So this is to read, this is to be read by you, and I have to explain the most important thing. Okay, so I would explain
Yes, sir.
the most vital thing, Dhyana Paramita meditation. So Buddha says we have to transcend the idea of entity, being, living being, personality. Well, now, thus enlightened disciples are enabled to appreciate the significance of the words which the Tathagatas invariably repeat to their followers. Disciples must realize that the Dharma, Dharma means the tool. Dharma means the one, the thing which can lead us to the ultimate state of consciousness or the supreme enlightenment. That is called dharma. So dharma is presented to your minds in the smell of a raft. No raft. If the dharma, having fulfilled its function in bearing you to the other shore, must be abandoned together with all its coincident qualities and ideas, how much more inevitable must be the abandonment of qualities and ideas which have an existence apart from the dharma. The Lord Buddha continued, if a disciple had an amount of treasure sufficient to fill the illimitable universe and bestowed it upon the Tathagatas in the exercise of charity, and if another disciple, having aspired to supreme spiritual wisdom, selected from the scriptures even a stanza of 4 lines only, observed it, diligently studied it, and with zeal explained it to others, the cumulative merit of such a disciple would be relatively greater than the merit of the former. But Subhuti, the attitude of his mind in which he explained it is important. We explained with a mind filled with compassion, but free from any assumption as to the reality of an entity, a being, a living being, a personality, or as to the permanency or reality of earthly phenomena, or as to the validity of any ideas concerning them. And why? Because the phenomena of life are like a dream, phantasm, a bubble, a shadow, the glistening dew, a lightning flash. Thus should they be contemplated by an enlightened disciple. His mind should at all times be resting in the blessedness of the tranquility which invariably accompanies the practice of the Dhyana Paramita. Okay, so here the core important thing is the abstination from the entity. We have to abstain ourselves to understand anything solid, even the solid things, whatever they are solid things, though they look like they exist, they are very solid, but in reality they do not exist. If you can see their particles, they are very not they are not malleable, they are very vulnerable. Their particles, even the particles of the solid things, they are moving. If you can see with microscope, you can find that they are moving like the waves. So everything, when we break into the molecule, into the atom, then we'll find that atom is the mass of waves, electron, proton, neutron. They are energy, they are moving energy, dynamic energy, and all are moving, and nothing exists even for a second. Every second things are changing, every second, not even every second, but in a fraction of second things change. You are not the same person in the next second. I'm not the same person in the next second. I keep changing every second, every minute. My whole personality, my whole being is changing. Though we look that, yes, I am static, but we are changing at high speed, at lightning speed. In highest reality, actually, whatever form or look you are seeing each other, they're not the same into the next consecutive moment. In that view, everything is quickly changing, very fastly changing. Nothing is permanent, nothing is eternal, everything is changing. So that should not be understood as an entity, as a being, as a living being, as a personality, right? So in that view, this is very hard subject, this is very profound subject which may not be understood in the beginning, but when you will analyze them, you will speculate on this. When you will use your intelligence, then you'll find that yes, this is true, and your mind will come at the tranquility easily. And he says his mind should at all times be resting in the blessedness of tranquility. I highlight these words. His mind should at all times be resting in the blessedness of the tranquility, which invariably accompanies the practice of the Dhyana Paramita. So without tranquility, you cannot practice the Dhyana tool. Paramita is tool. Now, regarding the Dhyana Paramita or ideal tranquility, the Sutra says the beginners should consider and practice Dhyana in two aspects. I would like you to listen this very attentively because this is very uh, relevant to you. The beginner, because you are beginner, right? You are beginner, and you should try this practice. You should try this technique. Buddha says, or the Sutra says, the beginner should consider and practice dhyana in two aspects. First, as cessation of the mind's intellectual activities. First aspect is the cessation, the ceasing of mind's intellectual activities, and as realization of insight. Second is realization of insight. Okay, bring all mental states that produce vagrant thinking to a stand is called cessation. Okay, to bring all mental states that produce vagrant thinking, anything which causes our mind to think, and when we bring our mind at the cessation by calming down the cause, by calming down, the reason, then this is called cessation. To adequately understand the transitory and emptiness and egolessness of all things is insight. What is insight? Insight is understanding the emptiness and egolessness, understanding the reality of emptiness and egolessness of all things. Okay? To adequately understand, see, to adequately understand the transitory emptiness and egolessness of all things is called insight. Simultaneously, we will develop them. When we will calm down our mind, then mind is able to understand. Then mind becomes eligible to understand the truth, understand the reality. Otherwise, mind is so busy in trivial things, mind cannot understand, mind cannot think over that. So first is bring your mind at cessation, at peace. Second is simultaneously your inner light awakens and you see the things with that lens. Your mental lens is very powerful. You can visualize the lens of very strong camera. A strong camera's lens can, see the things at remote place. The camera which is used in the satellites, they're very powerful. They can see the things on the earth. Now we can imagine the power of that lens, of that camera. So at thousands of miles, that planet can see the small things on this earth. This is human made. But you cannot imagine there is immeasurable capacity of our mind lens that can see the things at the different distant stars. But that can happen through meditation only. Through what kind of meditation?
So I have one question for you. I'm sorry to buck in.
Okay.
So so you were explaining about the changes that happens every second, every minute, right? So as a meditation practitioner, how are we supposed to deal with the, changes that happens in a friction of seconds?
Yes, actually, in the beginning stage or as the beginners, we do not try to change anything. We have to just spot them.